What's going on, guys? This is Foresight Capital, and today I wanted to give a quick update on the Palantir trade, talk about the price action for the day, and my expectations for the stock moving forward. So today Palantir closed down 7.64% to $25.63 per share, and then picked up about 10 cents in aftermarket hours to ultimately close at $25.73. For full transparency, I did close out my position on Palantir today for a total profit of $394, which is something like 0.6% of the total position size, so a very small amount relative to the overall maximum position that I had in Palantir. I will be actively trading Palantir and continuously covering Palantir because it's still a company that I love to trade and would love to hold long term, but I am looking for a slightly better entry point, which we'll cover a little bit later in the video. All that I ask is that if this video brings you value, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing because it really helps this channel reach more people. So as I mentioned, we saw a pretty bloody day in Palantir today, down 7.65%. And there wasn't really a negative news catalyst, which means that this breakdown was largely technical if you believe in technicals at all. So in Thursday's video before the market closed for the Christmas holiday, I mentioned that we really needed to see a continuous hold above 2770 as we had a bit of a fake out breakout before. If we refer back to the beginning of December, we can see that we broke 2770, reached about $31 per share before resistance pushed us back, and we saw a breakdown below 2770 again, and then it acted as continuous resistance for the next couple of weeks. I was afraid that what we would see is what happened today is another fake breakout where we had a breakout, a lower high, some consolidation, and then a breakdown below 2770, much like we saw before. So because we failed to hold 2770, I did exit my position today, and I'm looking for an entry at either the green or the yellow support levels that we've talked about for quite some time on this channel. Now I wanted to pull up today's volume first and foremost just to take a look. So today's volume was 55,878,000. That's very low for Palantir, and in fact on some days we can reach as high as 125 million, and we trade on average somewhere around 65 to 75 million shares. So it was a low volume day, as is expected for the week before New Year and after Christmas. There just isn't a whole lot of trading activity going on outside of potential rebalances. Now, I've drawn some trend lines here that we can identify as a bit of a wedge by these thinner red lines, and some would say on the daily chart that we were trading in a bit of a wedge and failed to really break out above this downtrend line that we've got here, which is from the top of the candle of the 3350, the day that we reached all-time highs, and continuously setting lower highs, and ultimately we're squeezed by this wedge downward. I could agree that that is a bit of a technical breakdown, and that falls in line with the breakdown that we had here of failing to hold 2770 on the hourly candle and ultimately selling off. Now, we did break below the $26 per share support level, which has been acting as support for some time, and that's basically the 38.2% retracement level of this retracement from 3350 down to 2115, and then a retracement of 38.2% puts us right at about $25.90 to $26, and that had been acting as support. When we closed today, we actually closed below that line, signaling that we have a potential run all the way down to 2460. Now 2460 per share, indicated here by the yellow line, has acted as support as recently as last week, very early morning hours on Monday, before ultimately having this very big spike, and the spike was actually had a positive news catalyst of a new contract being signed. I also mentioned in last week's videos that we would realistically need to see continuous news flow from Palantir to really see any major spikes in prices. Otherwise, we'll probably see this sell-off happen on low volume days where there isn't a lot of buying interest, where buyers aren't coming in and propping up the price. We'll see some sell-off because there is a lot of selling pressure. If we take a look here at the Analyze tab, we've still got a $48 billion market cap for Palantir, which some would say, in fact most analysts say, is very overvalued, and it should be somewhere more in the $25 to $30 million or $30 billion market cap range. So by analyst expectations, based on the revenues, we do have a bit of a way to fall. And most of the analysts are pegging it at about $18 per share, which is this orange line. I don't think that we fall that far. I think that buyers are going to continuously come in and prop up the stock. But what I'm looking for this trade is a pullback to at least 2460. And I want to see Palantir hold 2460 before coming back in and buying. I don't want to see a fake out, break out where we fall and bounce above 2460 and trade below 26. I really want to see us hold 2460 for a couple of trading days and ideally hold above 26 before entering back in. Now that's not lowering my cost basis from where I sold very much, but what I'm fearing and what is a very real potential for Palantir is to see a continuation of this just slow bleed off back to a more realistic market cap. And I think that we don't see buyers come in if we break below 2460 until about 2260, which is notated by this green line, which has acted as support previously. And a good bit of the times it acted as support is off of this chart, but we can see that it's acted as resistance and support multiple times back at the end of November and beginning of December. So it's a very real possibility that we see another, in this case, about 10% decline back to this green level if we don't have any news. And that's kind of the biggest thing that's going on with Palantir right now, in my opinion, is we're having these sell-offs on low volume days where there's a lot of sellers coming in, not a lot of buyers coming in to prop up the stock because there just isn't a ton of news. And right now, analysts and newscasts are all projecting a bearish opinion on Palantir. So there aren't as many retail traders coming in to buy and prop up the stock when there isn't this continuous hype train. Now we do have some things coming up that could potentially continue to pump up the stock. We've got the new year, new budgets are going into effect, so companies have the potential to sign new contracts because they know their annual budgets, although predictably those are already out. That would also be if they're able to pick up commercial contracts at any reasonable clip, because as we know, about 60% of Palantir's overall revenue is from governments. We'd like to see realistically some commercial contracts come in and continue to drive the revenue in that sector, because it not only helps drive the revenue higher, but it helps diversify the revenue streams, which is one of the biggest downsides to this stock, is that they have a lot of their eggs in one basket, so to speak. Now, government contracts are realistically a little bit more safe than a commercial contract, because once a government does something, it's very hard for them to untangle it all and move to another company very easily and very cost effectively, and at least in comparison to like a commercial company. So overall, here's my thought for this stock. I think that we at least see a pullback to 2460, and then I think we potentially see a continuation down to 2260. My ideal buy level is either around 26 if we continuously hold 2460 and start a new uptrend, or if we break below 2460, my ideal buy level comes in closer to 22. That means I won't really buy in the middle of this area. I'll start buying closer to these green support levels that I've got drawn out on the chart here. So I'm going to share this chart down in the description if you want to take a look at it, but that's just kind of my thought on the trade moving forward. I want to average down the position. I think that we've got some potential downside here, at least $1 per share until we reach the next level of support, and possibly a decrease all the way to 2260. Again, I'm going to continuously update this video. I realize this was very informal, and I hope that this video at least brought you some value in talking about my thoughts, more so than showing where the stock's going to go. But given that I was recently wrong and that we didn't continue to hold 2770, I want to see how it plays out before I go making claims about when I'm entering. Also wanted to be fully transparent on the fact that I exited the position for now, definitely not for the long term. I will be getting back into the stock. I just want to get a little bit better of a cost basis. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment below. Do you think that we're going to see a spike back in price tomorrow, right back to 2770, and it was just a fake out? Are we going to see a continuation down to 2460, or are we going to see something crazy like a fall all the way to 18? Curious to see what your thoughts are. Make sure to leave those in the comments. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Catch you in the next one, and don't forget to subscribe.